Alright, so remember in my gaming mice are boring video, I said there would only be one more exciting mouse this year, the Logitech G303 wireless. Well, Xtrfy has something to say about that before the year's end. Now currently, Xtrfy is one of the only companies taking risks when it comes to mice these days. They have the swappable shells with different shapes that we hadn't seen before, like in the M4 II. Then they worked on the Rocket Jump Ninja Zeiss Rail, which had a unique shape and feel to it. And now they have this M4 wireless with a bunch of different interesting features, but are they gimmicks to get you to spend another $100 on a mouse, or do these features actually give us enthusiasts hope for the future? Let's talk about it. Now lately I've been skipping unboxings, but in this one there are some noteworthy things that I want to talk about. It comes with two keycaps. I would love to see Xtrfy switch this up and put some different color keycaps in there for each release instead of putting the same colors over and over again because we already have them. This will give Xtrfy a chance to create somewhat like collector's items with different colorways for each release. Also in the box you'll get the mouse, of course, the charging cable with the receiver now since it's wireless. The mouse is also USB-C. You love to see that. They also throw in an extra shell in there, more on that later, and they also give you a screwdriver to mod the mouse with. That's new. I've actually never seen another mouse actually come with a screwdriver, so that's telling you something right there. So what is this screwdriver used for? Now there's two different usages for it. So number one is going to be there's 3 screw holes on the bottom to remove the back shell. I do wish this was snap in like on the M4 II, but on the flip side this gives you a more solid construction when you're using the mouse. You don't have to worry about the back popping out. They provide you with 2 different shell shapes. That's a tongue twister there. One with more of a hump in the middle for you palm grip users out there, and then there's one with the hump at the very end of the mouse geared towards claw grip users. This is important because it allows you to play around with the shape of the mouse to see what feels best. And if you ever get tired of using one shell, you can always just swap that out for another one to see if it actually helps your aim out without having to buy another mouse. It would be pretty cool if Xtrfy would offer some more extreme shell shapes on their site, or later on you can actually customize it to your own dimensions on there. That would create a logistical nightmare, I'm sure of it, but it would be pretty cool if they can make that happen. Okay, so back to the mouse itself. I don't like the shell coating. It's too smooth for my taste. It's raw plastic. Once your hand gets a little bit of moisture on it, it tends to not feel that great and it's a little bit distracting. This is something that I talked about in the original M4 review, and it's sad to see that a coating didn't make it onto the wireless version. Maybe there's some issues with it rubbing off, I don't know here, but the coating or lack of coating here isn't ideal. Now the PTFE feet are very thick. It doesn't give me that immediate feeling that I need to throw on some aftermarket feet on there like I do with some other mice. This mouse weighs in at 71 grams. I got 70 on my scale, and that brings me to the next amazing feature of this mouse, and that is the ability to change the placement of the weight. By adjusting the 2 screws on the bottom of the mouse, you can slide up and down the weight and change where the weight distribution is. Now I can say that this actually does change the weight. It moves it more from like the back of the mouse up into the front center. Now I was thinking back to see if any other companies have implemented something like that. The only thing I could really think of was like the G502, the brick from Logitech, but in order to change the balance you had to add a weight to the mouse. You weren't moving the weight that was already in the mouse, you had to add to it, which I think makes this mouse superior. I love this innovation as it moves us one step closer to making our mice exactly how we want it, even down to the weight distribution. This was a success the way they implemented it, and if you're curious about which I actually like mine towards the front of the mouse instead of towards the back. Now one of the things that the M4 has going for it, which some people don't like, is the shape. It's a different take on a classic ergo right-handed shape. It's super aggressive, which some people might not like. It creates a huge gap between your thumb and the mouse. It doesn't fill it out like on a Zowie EC mouse. This actually keeps the front of the mouse smaller, allowing for your fingers to get more of that pencil action, all while having a nice, voluptuous butt to plant your palm into. I find that I have way more control over this mouse than I do an EC type shape. But again, some people are gonna like the shape, some people are not gonna like it because it doesn't feel comfortable to them. This is a medium-sized mouse and it fits my hand perfectly. I have enough room at the end of the mouse buttons when doing claw grip. I like having that big butt shell, like I said, when I use this mouse instead of the palm grip personally. I have to say, if you are a relaxed claw grip user, you're going to love this mouse if you haven't tried it before. That being said, the M4 is horrendous for fingertip grip users, but it's just way too big and it gets in the way. You almost start claw gripping it just by way of holding this mouse. If you're a fingertip grip user, just wait for the M4 II, or enjoy Zeiss Rail. Kind of sounds kind of sexual, doesn't it? All right, so if you're enjoying this video, hit that sub button down below. Really helps the channel out, and in turn, get some quality content every week. Sounds like a win-win to me. Now let's talk about the buttons, which are much improved over the original, which were a little flat and uninspiring. The mouse 1 and 2 are now KLGM 8.0 switches. They do feel a little bit stiffer than in other mice. They're not as light and crispy here, but they are miles better than the old one, which used to have the shell rubbing against the top of the mouse button, and there's no real bottom out, so you get that very abrupt stop. This one is fixed now. It has a nice soft bottom out. Definitely a huge step up there. The side buttons could be better. There's pre-travel, and they leave a little bit to be desired there. Overall, I'd say they're decent, but not great. Another smart thing that Xtrfy does is they have the slider on the bottom of the mouse, which allows you to change the function of the top button to CPI or RGB. And they've also done the smart thing in allowing you to change the middle button to page down. So if you want to rebind this in game, it's very simple. You don't even need software. They also have the polling rate button on the bottom. Scroll wheel is nice and defined, but it has a texture that I'm not that crazy about. It's a little bit too distracting, a little bit too high up for my taste. All right, so let's drop a sound test so you guys can hear what this mouse sounds like. So obviously this mouse is wireless now. It comes with 75 hours of battery life. In 2021 at the end, I hate to sound like a snob here, but lately we've been getting mice with over 100 hours of battery life. So 75, wow, it's like the standard. I need some standout wireless battery performance. I just do. The sensor is a 3370. It's a solid performer. Nothing to really write home about. It just works, and it works really well. Overall, my experience with this mouse has been surprisingly good, to say the least. I was performing like a beast with this mouse. I don't know if it was a placebo effect or whatever, but the day I plugged this mouse into my computer, I felt right at home. I was hitting way more shots than normal, and I was just way more accurate. I think it's just that pencil action that you get. It's a slim front for me. Then you got the butt on palm action, as I like to call it. The shape, while being aggressive, is different than a lot of things out there, and I think that's what makes this mouse special. Sometimes, just like in life, you have to take a risk. If you just keep using the same mice with the same old shapes, how will you ever know how well you can perform, right? Think about it. Think about it. If you just get another EC clone, how do you know? You're probably just gonna play the same. So what I'm trying to say is the M4 can make a huge difference in your gameplay by choosing a more aggressive shape. Or you could just play like shit. This mouse does have its fault, and I don't agree with some of the design choices, but overall, I do think that it's a mouse worthy of the asking price for the innovation that you're getting here. So is this mouse a gimmick? If you couldn't tell by now, the answer is quite simply no. So, welcome to the future. I love to see this going into 2022. I really hope that we see some different shapes coming out of these companies, just like this, just like the Xrail, just like the G303, even though that's a remake. It's just something new and different. And that's what I'm all about, because we have hundreds of these other shapes. We have copycats up the wazoo. So this is a nice change of pace. All right. It has been your boy BT. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.